she felt like slapping her. He thought his scent could save his marriage. One moment of envy, one moment of desperation, and together, they shattered the illusion of America's most famous plural family. Tonight, we uncover the two confessions that broke sister wives apart: Christine's guilt-filled rage toward Janelle, and Kody's bizarre admission that he tried to rekindle love with Robyn using his own body odor. This is not just a story about polygamy. It's about jealousy, power, intimacy, and what happens when family becomes fame. How did a scent, a confession, and a mother's guilt turn into reality TV's most shocking emotional collapse? Part 1. Christine Brown entered the polygamous world of Kody Brown as the second wife, tiptoeing into a family built on plural marriage and public spectacle. Over the years, she became a recognizable name, a face defined by grace, patience, and deep maternal pride. She spent years investing her identity into being a mother: 2 daughters, a son, stepson, countless bonus kids, and filming for reality TV. The cameras documented every milestone: birthdays, graduations, holidays. Christine was the mom the fans cheered for. "I love being a mom. It's the strongest part of who I am." But behind the perfect snapshots and bright smiles, cracks were forming. As her son, Paedon Brown, reached adulthood, new directions beckoned, directions that would test Christine's sense of place, her role, and her maternal confidence. What happens when your child chooses someone else, and how does your sister fit into that story? In late 2023, Paedon made a decision that would ripple through the family. He moved away from the large Brown household, to be closer to his aunt and sister wife, Janelle Brown. The move looked innocent, a young man branching out, but for Christine, it hit like a betrayal. Suddenly, Janelle, not historically the center of Christine's universe, was the one sharing late-night coffees, catch-ups, selfies with Paedon, and now grandchildren. The bragging began, the posts, the stories, the subtle signs, and Christine, well, she admitted something she hadn't expected. "Christine, when I heard Janelle talk about how close she is to the grandkids, I don't know, I felt like slapping her. Then I felt horrible for saying it. I thought, am I a bad mom?" It was the moment the mask slipped. The perfect mom image cracked. Christine's guilt, envy, and fear of being replaced all came into one confessional sentence. Who is really the favorite in a blended family? And what happens when that title shifts? For many women, motherhood is identity, it's purpose. When your child leaves or chooses someone else, it's more than just change. It's a loss of self. Christine felt that. She felt invisible. She felt replaced. In blended families, the dynamics of closeness and favoritism create emotional landmines. If a mother senses her role diminishing, guilt often follows, and so does anger. Christine's anger, directed at Janelle's bragging, was a cry for help, but she cleaned it up afterwards. She regretted the thought. She feared being a bad mom. The audience watched. The fans judged. Some saw Christine as justified. Others saw her as toxic. The debate exploded. Was Christine the protector of her role or the villain in her own story? When guilt meets envy, which one wins? And whose side is the audience on? But wait, there's a twist. Because this isn't just about Christine versus Janelle. It's about what really happened behind closed doors. Paedon's move was just the tip of the iceberg. I adore being with the kids. I love seeing them grow. Christine knows I'm family. Fans saw Janelle's radiant posts and assumed she was the winner. But the truth? Something else was going on. Christine found out something she hadn't counted on. Janelle's closeness to the kids wasn't simply affection. It was a choices game Christine wasn't invited to play. And Paedon's distance wasn't only geographic, it was emotional. Paedon. It felt easier with my Aunt Janelle. I don't want to hurt Mom, I just needed space. That admission, the twist, the revelation that Dad's second wife had become the fallback parent wasn't an accident. It was accepted by the child. For Christine, it felt like defeat. What happens when the backup becomes the principal, and the principal becomes sidelined? As Christine's confession went public, the backlash was fast and fierce. Fans of sister wives, social media armies, and reality TV critics weighed in. Some called her honest, some called her jealous, but the most damning verdict? Many said she lost her authentic self in the comparison game. Janelle's photo ops with grandchildren suddenly looked like proof of Christine's failure. The climax. Christine is on camera, raw, emotional, admitting she felt like slapping her sister wife. The confession triggers countless headlines. And the twist? It backfired. Because the sympathy she hoped for turned into scrutiny. The woman who once commanded compassion now faced questions. Why didn't she step up sooner? Why did she allow this distance? I hate that I felt that way. I'm working on it. But maybe I failed. The audience watched, judged, empathized, but they also lost trust. When your deepest truth becomes your public downfall, what do you do next? Where does Christine go from here? Can she repair the damage? To herself? To her children? To her sister-wife relationship? The answer lies in self-reflection, in acknowledging that motherhood isn't a title you hold forever. It's a role you redefine. I want connection, not competition. I want my kids to feel I'm here. It's not too late. And for you, the viewer, maybe you felt invisible in your own family. Maybe a sibling stepped into the role you once thought was yours. The takeaway? This story isn't just about Christine and Janelle. It's about every mom wondering, am I enough? Are my kids safe in my love when they grow up and move on? If you've been moved by Christine's journey, hit like, subscribe, ring the bell, and share your story in the comments below. Part 2. Once upon a time, Kody Brown was the face of plural marriage in America, the charming, energetic father of 18, juggling 4 wives, 4 households, and 1 dream, to prove love could be shared fairly. But time changed everything. Christine left in 2021. Janelle followed in 2022. Meri quietly drifted away. And by 2024, the only wife still standing was Robyn, the so-called favorite. The once bustling Brown family became a 2-person island, haunted by memories, judgment, and the ghosts of sister wives past. Fans started calling them the last ones clinging to a broken dream. But how do you rebuild romance when your entire world is watching and judging? Then came the episode that broke the internet. A quiet conversation turned into one of the strangest moments in sister wives history. Kody looked at the camera and said, without irony, that he tried to attract Robyn with his every strong body odor. Kody, I have a strong natural scent. I thought, maybe it could remind her of who I am. Bring the spark back. The room went silent. Robyn smiled awkwardly. The internet roared. Memes, tweets, and YouTube clips exploded overnight. It wasn't just funny, it was tragic, because underneath the humor lay something darker. A man who had lost connection, confidence, and control. Was it desperation or delusion? Kody's confession wasn't just about attraction. It was about power. When the other wives walked away, Kody lost his image as the patriarch. He tried to hold on the only way he knew how, through symbolic acts of dominance, intimacy, and scent. Sometimes, when people feel emotionally disconnected, they turn to primal expressions like scent, touch, or ritual to re-establish intimacy, but it only works if both partners feel emotionally safe. And Robyn? She looked anything but safe. Her body language said everything. Arms crossed, gaze down, the weight of 1,000 uncomfortable moments. Robyn, I love Kody, but we're not the same people we were. It's complicated. For many fans, that moment broke their sympathy for Kody. The man who once commanded a household was now clinging to a scent-based fantasy. How do you keep love alive when your partner can barely stand to be near you? But here's where the story turns. The body odor confession wasn't a joke to Kody. It was a metaphor, a symbolic act he believed could restore what cameras can't capture, emotional memory. Sources close to the couple revealed that Kody used the same cologne and even avoided showers before dates, believing that Robyn was once drawn to his natural scent. He thought familiarity could trigger romance, but instead, it triggered revulsion. Robyn, I don't know what to say. It's too much. That was the twist. The one thing Kody thought would bring them closer actually pushed her further away. It became the symbol of everything wrong in their marriage. His inability to listen, her inability to leave. The scent of control or the smell of heartbreak. Summary. Within hours, Kody's confession became late-night comedy gold. TikTok creators mimicked his words. Hashtags like #KodyCologne and #Odigo trended for days. Ladies, imagine your husband saying his odor is the glue holding the marriage together. Robyn deserves perfume, not pheromones. But behind the laughter, fans noticed something heartbreaking. Robyn's silence. In her confessionals, she looked exhausted. Her tone was distant. Viewers began asking the question no one expected. Was Robyn trapped in the same emotional loop the other wives escaped? Christine, he wants control. That's not love, that's fear. Christine's words now echoed like prophecy. Kody's scent obsession wasn't passion, it was panic. When your last wife stops breathing the same air, what's left? And so we reach the end of the strangest chapter in the Sister Wives saga. A man once defined by faith and family, now defined by loneliness, and a smell he thought could save him. Robyn, I wish we could just be real again. No expectations, no pretending. That's the tragedy and the lesson. Love built on fear fades. Intimacy without empathy suffocates. And sometimes, the scent of desperation lingers long after the love is gone. To every woman watching, who's ever felt unseen, unheard, or manipulated by someone's version of love. Remember this: real attraction begins with respect. You deserve to be loved for who you are, not for what someone wants to reignite. If you've ever been in a relationship that made you question your worth, drop a love react in the comments. Let's deep dive in full details. Part 3. When Sister Wives first aired in 2010, it promised something radical: a modern, functional, polygamous family built on faith and fairness. Kody Brown, then a confident, charming father of 18, presented himself as a visionary. Christine was the nurturing heart, Janelle the practical partner, Meri the loyal first wife, and Robyn, the new hope of romantic renewal. For over a decade, America watched them move homes, build dreams, and raise children under one spiritual roof. But beneath the surface, resentment was simmering. Christine often felt unseen. Janelle balanced distance with calm. And Robyn, young, emotional, and adored, became the flashpoint of jealousy. But when one son's decision and one husband's confession collided, everything changed. Christine: when I heard Janelle talking about how close she was to the grandkids, I wanted to slap her. And then I thought, what kind of mom even thinks that? It was the line that shocked fans across Reddit and Facebook groups. For Christine Brown, a woman known for kindness, to admit violent jealousy against her closest sister wife was unthinkable. The confession came after her son Paedon moved to be nearer to Janelle. For Christine, it wasn't about distance. It was about replacement. She feared she was losing not just her son, but her identity as a mother. But guilt often intensifies after divorce or separation. When a child gravitates toward another caregiver, it activates the fear of being forgotten. And Christine's fear wasn't just personal, it was public. Fans who once celebrated her independence after leaving Kody began questioning her emotional state. Was Christine's confession a moment of honesty, or a warning sign of emotional exhaustion? While Christine wrestled with guilt, another storm was brewing. Kody Brown, 56, the patriarch now left with one wife, was struggling to prove his marriage to Robyn was still real. Kody: I have a strong natural scent. It's part of who I am. Robyn used to love it. I thought maybe it could bring that spark back. Viewers froze. He wasn't joking. Kody genuinely believed his body odor, his natural masculine essence, could revive his dying connection with Robyn. Body odor as marriage therapy? Kody, please. This man needs therapy, not pheromones. It became one of the most bizarre moments in TLC history, trending on Twitter and sparking nationwide debates about masculinity, control, and denial. But the truth behind Kody's confession reveals something even darker. He wasn't trying to attract Robyn. He was trying to control her. Two people, two confessions, one born of guilt, the other of delusion. Christine's envy and Kody's desperation weren't isolated events. They were symptoms of the same disease, emotional dependency. Christine: he had a favorite, and it wasn't me. I had to save myself. By walking away, Christine gained freedom, but lost the stability she once knew. Kody, left with only Robyn, turned inward, clinging to primal instincts and rituals to mask emotional failure. 78% of viewers said they felt sorry for Christine. 12% said Kody needs help. 10% said Robyn should walk away too. The Brown family saga had transformed from spiritual experiment to psychological breakdown, played out in front of millions. But what neither Christine nor Kody realized was that both were chasing the same ghost: validation. The twist came quietly, not with a scandal, but with silence. Christine's guilt turned into reflection. Kody's pride turned into isolation. And in that void, Robyn finally broke. Robyn, I thought we'd grow old together, but now it's like we're ghosts haunting an old dream. That was the moment fans realized. The love triangle was over. What remained were fragments of identity: Christine's guilt, Kody's insecurity, Robyn's loneliness. When relationships crumble under public pressure, people resort to exaggerated expressions, confessions, rituals, even scent associations, to reclaim control. Kody's scent obsession wasn't passion, it was panic. Christine's guilt confession wasn't envy, it was grief. And together, their pain became the climax that ended the sister wives myth forever. So what does this story teach us? That love built on fear collapses. That motherhood and marriage demand honesty, not comparison. And that even in heartbreak, healing begins when we stop pretending. Christine found peace in new love. Janelle built independence. And Kody still struggles to find meaning in the empire he lost. Long before TLC cameras arrived, polygamy in America had a complex history. Rooted in the early days of the LDS Church, it was banned federally in 1890, but some families, like the Browns, continued the practice privately in faith. When Sister Wives premiered, the show wasn't just entertainment, it was activism. The Browns risked legal scrutiny in Utah and fled to Las Vegas to live freely. For Christine, plural marriage meant purpose. For Janelle, it meant balance and independence. Meri clung to the foundation of loyalty, while Robyn embodied emotional connection, the one Kody called his soulmate. Together, they built a dream that looked unbreakable. But inside those walls, silent rivalries were already forming tiny fractures that the audience would only recognize years later. Because what looked like harmony was really hierarchy. Psychologists call it maternal displacement anxiety, the fear that your emotional role is being replaced. Christine's guilt wasn't simple jealousy. It was the grief of a mother watching her child choose someone else's embrace. And on Reddit, hundreds of comments poured in. I felt that slap in my chest. She's human. It's not anger, it's heartbreak. Every mom knows that guilt. Am I enough? Question. In early seasons, Christine had always been the nurturing center, the one who sang lullabies, cooked Sunday breakfasts, and remembered every birthday. Losing Paedon's closeness meant losing a piece of her identity. One viewer wrote on Facebook, "You can see her smile fade season by season, not because she stopped loving her kids, but because she started doubting if they still needed her." That doubt became her quiet undoing. And guilt, when left unspoken, turns into rage. Fans who've followed the Browns since season 1 remember the wedding that changed everything. Kody's union with Robyn in 2010. It wasn't just another wife, it was a cultural reset. Robyn was younger, romantic, and emotional qualities Kody hadn't experienced in years. His chemistry with her was undeniable. But over time, that connection faded under the weight of public judgment and family loss. By 2025, only Robyn remained. The laughter of a house once filled with 4 women had shrunk to whispers in one. That's when Kody tried to recreate attraction the only way he knew, through memory. Science shows that scent is tied to emotional memory. A smell can trigger love or trauma instantly. Kody believed his strong natural scent could revive Robyn's desire, linking her back to their early days of passion. But what he didn't realize was that the smell of desperation lingers longer than cologne. And this time, the scent didn't bring her closer, it drove her away. Christine's guilt confession and Kody's body odor admission were filmed months apart, but they echoed the same message: emotional burnout. Relationship experts describe it as mirroring collapse, when 2 people in a once intertwined life reflect each other's weaknesses instead of strengths. In an interview clip never aired in full, Christine said, "I gave my best years to this family, and I'm not sure who I became in the process." Meanwhile, Kody defended his choices. "I've tried everything. I gave my wives loyalty, protection, leadership, and all I got back was distance." Viewers on YouTube and Facebook clashed. "He's gaslighting everyone. She's projecting her guilt. They're both broken, just in different ways." The Sister Wives universe had turned into a national therapy session. And therapy only works if someone's willing to listen. Inside the Flagstaff home, the silence became deafening. Kody would pace the hallways late at night, muttering about betrayal and faith. Robyn, in another room, stared at old family photos that now felt like evidence. Christine's new beginnings were blooming online engagement photos, travel posts, while Kody's only updates came from scattered fan sightings. The emotional tide had turned. For the first time, the man who once held 4 wives now held 4 regrets. And Robyn? She began realizing that love built on nostalgia is still a love of the past. Because sometimes the scariest thing about losing everyone is realizing you were the reason they left. Christine's story didn't end in bitterness. In March 2024, she married David Woolley in a Utah ceremony surrounded by children, laughter, and color, everything her old life lacked. Janelle rebuilt her independence, launching fitness programs and speaking about self-worth. Robyn, however, disappeared from public view. Her social media,